This story is titled, My Sister Lied About Needing Money for Rent, but used it to buy designer clothes, so I cut her off for good. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm 32 years old, and I live in a small town in the United States. I've always been the type of person who would go out of my way to help family, especially my younger sister, Lauren. Lauren is 28, and she's always been a bit of a free spirit. Charming, but impulsive. Growing up, I often felt like I had to look out for her, especially since she always seemed to find herself in one financial mess after another. But this story? This is where I finally drew the line. It all started when Lauren called me one evening, her voice shaking with what sounded like fear. Emily, she said, I'm in trouble. My heart sank immediately. I've always had a soft spot for my sister, and hearing her sound so distressed sent alarm bells ringing in my head. What's wrong? I asked, already preparing myself to drop everything and rush to her aid. I'm behind on my rent, she admitted, her voice breaking. If I don't pay by the end of the week, I'm going to be evicted. I felt a lump in my throat. Lauren had always struggled to keep her finances in order, but the thought of her losing her apartment was devastating. She went on to explain that she had been trying to juggle bills after losing hours at work. I didn't want to ask for help, she said, her voice full of shame, but I don't know what else to do. In that moment, all I could think about was how I couldn't let my sister end up homeless. How much do you need? I asked. $2,000, she replied hesitantly, like she couldn't believe she was asking. I winced at the amount. It wasn't pocket change, but I told her I'd help. I'll transfer the money to you tonight, I said, reassuring her. You don't have to worry about this, okay? Lauren burst into tears, thanking me over and over. You're the best sister ever, she said. At the time, I felt like I was doing the right thing. Family helps family, right? But little did I know, Lauren's idea of trouble was very different from mine. About a week later, I was scrolling through Instagram during my lunch break when something caught my eye. It was a photo Lauren had posted, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. She was smiling in front of a full-length mirror, wearing a brand new designer dress. The caption read, Retail therapy equals the best therapy. My stomach churned. Retail therapy? I stared at the post, trying to convince myself that there had to be some kind of mistake. Maybe she had borrowed the dress. Maybe it was an old photo. Maybe I just didn't want to believe what I was seeing. But as I kept scrolling, more posts popped up. There was one of her showing off a pair of expensive-looking shoes, another with a luxury handbag. The hashtag said it all. #treat yourself, designer dreams, no regrets. I couldn't help but feel a mix of anger and confusion. Where did she get the money for all of this? I had just given her $2,000 to pay her rent. That evening, I called Lauren, trying to keep my voice calm. Hey, I said, how are things going? Did you manage to get everything sorted with your landlord? There was a pause on the other end of the line. Oh yeah, she said casually. Everything's fine now. Thanks again for helping me out, Em. You're a lifesaver. Her tone was so nonchalant, so carefree, that it only made me angrier. I wanted to confront her right then and there, but I decided to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe I was jumping to conclusions. Good to hear, I said, forcing a smile into my voice. By the way, I saw your Instagram posts. You've been shopping, huh? Oh, those, she said with a nervous laugh. Yeah, just a little treat for myself. Nothing too crazy. Lauren, I said, my patience wearing thin. How are you buying all this stuff if you were just behind on reffining? Her silence was deafening. Finally, she sighed. Look, Emily, I just needed a little pick-me-up, okay? It's been a rough month. My jaw dropped. A pick-me-up? Lauren, I gave you that money to keep a roof over your head, not to buy designer clothes. She bristled at my tone. It's not like I spent all of it, she snapped. I paid most of the rent. The shopping was just something for me. You don't understand how stressful things have been. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. She had lied to me, manipulated me, and now she was trying to justify it as if she were the victim. Lauren, I said firmly, this is unacceptable. You lied to me. You said you were going to be evicted, and I believed you. Do you have any idea how hard I've worked for that money? Her response was the final straw. Oh, come on, Emily, she scoffed. It's not like you're struggling. You've got a good job, a nice house. You don't even have kids to worry about. I needed it more than you did. Her words hit me like a slap in the face. I needed it more than you did. The sheer entitlement in her tone left me speechless for a moment. Did she really believe that just because I was financially stable, I owed her my hard-earned money? When I finally found my voice, it trembled with anger. Lauren, I helped you because you told me you were going to lose your home. You made it sound like you had no other options. And now you're telling me you just decided to splurge on clothes instead? She huffed, like I was being unreasonable. Look, Emily, I appreciate the help, but I don't see why you're so mad. I paid enough of the rent to avoid eviction, didn't I? And what I do with the rest of the money is none of your business. None of my business? I repeated, incredulous. Lauren, it's my money. I trusted you with it because you said you needed it to survive. How is it not my business when you're flaunting expensive designer clothes all over social media while pretending to be struggling? She sighed, clearly annoyed that I wasn't letting it go. I'm sorry if you feel like I tricked you, but honestly, Emily, you're acting like this is some huge betrayal. It's not like you can't afford to help me out every now and then. That was it. I couldn't take another second of her self-centered attitude. You know what, Lauren? You're right. It's not a huge betrayal. It's just the last straw. I'm done bailing you out. Don't call me the next time you're in trouble because I won't be there to fix it for you. I hung up before she could respond. My heart was pounding and my hands were shaking. I couldn't believe how little she valued my support or my trust. The days that followed were tense. Lauren texted me a few times, apologizing in her half-hearted way. I didn't mean to upset you. Or I didn't think you'd react this strongly. But she never actually acknowledged what she had done wrong, and that only made me angrier. To make matters worse, she started venting about me to our family. One day, I got a call from our mom, who sounded exasperated. Emily, what's going on with you and Lauren? She said you're refusing to talk to her because of some silly misunderstanding. A misunderstanding, I said, my voice rising. Mom, she lied to me about needing money for rent, and then spent it on designer clothes. How is that a misunderstanding? Mom hesitated, clearly trying to play peacemaker. I'm sure she didn't mean to deceive you. You know how Lauren is. She doesn't always think things through, but her heart is in the right place. Mom, this isn't about her being thoughtless. She deliberately lied to me, and instead of apologizing, she's acting like I'm the one in the wrong for being upset. I'm not going to keep enabling her behavior. Mom sighed. I just don't want this to drive a wedge between you two. You're sisters, Emily. Family should stick together. That word, family, made my stomach churn. Why is it that family is so often used as an excuse to tolerate behavior that would never be acceptable from anyone else? I understand what you're saying, Mom, I replied, trying to keep my voice calm. But this isn't about holding a grudge. It's about setting boundaries. If Lauren wants to be treated like an adult, she needs to act like one. Mom didn't push further, but I could tell she wasn't happy. Meanwhile, Lauren kept digging herself deeper. One evening, I got a call from a mutual friend, Rachel, who was practically bursting with gossip. Emily, you'll never guess who I ran into at the mall today, she said. I didn't have to guess. Lauren, I said flatly. Yep, she was in the designer boutique, trying on a bunch of expensive outfits. She said she's been treating herself lately. I thought she was struggling with rent or something. I clenched my jaw, fighting the urge to scream. She's not struggling, I said through gritted teeth. She just likes to play the victim when it suits her. Rachel let out a low whistle. Wow, that's bold of her. I'm sorry, Emily. I know you've always tried to help her, but it sounds like she's taking advantage of you. Hearing that from someone else made it sting even more. I felt humiliated, like Lauren's lies had made me look like a fool. A few days later, Lauren decided to confront me directly. She showed up at my house unannounced, looking annoyed rather than apologetic. Emily, this is ridiculous, she said as soon as I opened the door. You're blowing this way out of proportion. I crossed my arms, refusing to let her push past me into the house. What do you want, Lauren? I want us to move past this, she said, as if that were the simplest thing in the world. You're my sister. We shouldn't be fighting over something so trivial. Trivial? I repeated, my voice icy. You lied to me, used me, and then acted like it was no big deal. That's not trivial, Lauren. She rolled her eyes. Okay, fine. I messed up. But it's not like I hurt you. You're acting like I committed some kind of crime. Maybe not a crime, I said, but you did betray my trust. And until you can take responsibility for that, I don't see how we can move forward. She scoffed, clearly frustrated. You're so dramatic, Emily. Whatever. If you want to hold this over my head forever, that's on you. And with that, she stormed off, leaving me standing in the doorway with a sinking feeling in my chest. After Lauren stormed off, I stood in the doorway, my emotions swirling between anger, sadness, and exhaustion. How did it come to this? I had always been there for her, but now it felt like she didn't care about the hurt she caused. She wasn't just my sister. She was someone I had trusted. And now that trust was shattered. The weeks that followed were eerily quiet. Lauren didn't text or call, and for the first time in years, I didn't feel the usual weight of her requests or demands. But the silence wasn't peaceful. It was heavy with unresolved tension. And out of nowhere, I got a call from Rachel again. This time, her tone was cautious, almost hesitant. "Emily," she began, "I hate to bring this up, but you should probably know. Lauren's been talking about you. A lot." I sighed, already bracing myself. "What's she saying?" "Well," Rachel said carefully, "she's been telling people you've abandoned her, that you're selfish and don't care about family. She even said you're hoarding your money while she struggles to make ends meet." I felt my stomach drop. "What?" I whispered. "She's actually saying that?" Rachel hesitated, then added, "Yeah. And, she might have mentioned that you refused to help her pay for rent, which is why she's been barely getting by." At that moment, I realized just how far Lauren was willing to go to paint herself as the victim. Not only had she lied to me, but now she was spreading lies about me to anyone who would listen. "Thanks for telling me, Rachel," I said, my voice tight. "I appreciate it." After I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time. Lauren wasn't just trying to salvage her reputation, she was actively trying to ruin mine. It felt like a slap in the face, but it also made one thing abundantly clear. I couldn't keep letting her manipulate me or others. A week later, I decided to address the situation head-on. I knew Lauren's lies wouldn't stop unless I confronted her publicly. After all, she seemed to thrive on the attention she got from playing the victim. So when our family gathered for a Sunday dinner, I made sure to be there. Lauren hadn't expected me to show up, and the moment I walked through the door, I saw her face pale slightly. "Emily," my mom exclaimed, surprised but happy to see me. "It's been a while." "Yeah, I thought it was time to catch up," I said, keeping my tone light. But my eyes briefly met Lauren's, and I could tell she knew why I was really there. Throughout dinner, Lauren avoided direct eye contact, but she didn't hold back on her usual dramatic tales. She complained about how hard her life had been lately, how unfair it was that she couldn't catch a break, and how she had no choice but to make sacrifices. I stayed silent, waiting for the right moment. And then she said it. "It's just tough, you know? I've been struggling so much, and some people, family even, just don't care. They'd rather watch me fail than help me." My mom shot me a worried glance, clearly sensing the tension. But I wasn't going to let Lauren's lies slide any longer. I set down my fork and looked directly at her. "Are you talking about me, Lauren?" I asked calmly. She blinked, caught off guard. "What? No, I didn't say that." "But you've been telling people I refuse to help you with rent, haven't you?" I pressed. "You've been saying I'm selfish and don't care about family." The room fell silent. Lauren's face turned red as everyone's eyes shifted to her. I don't know what you're talking about," she stammered. "Why would I say that?" "Because you're trying to cover up what really happened," I said, my voice firm but steady. "You lied to me about needing money for rent. I gave it to you because I trusted you, and you used it to buy designer clothes instead. And now, instead of owning up to it, you're telling everyone I abandoned you." My mom gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. "Lauren, is this true?" she asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Lauren opened and closed her mouth, clearly scrambling for an excuse. "It's not like that," she said weakly. "Emily's exaggerating. I needed the money for other things, too." "Other things like handbags and shoes?" I shot back. "Lauren, I saw the photos. Rachel saw you shopping. You didn't even try to hide it." At this point, Lauren looked like a cornered animal, her eyes darting around the room as if searching for an escape. "Fine," she finally snapped. "I bought a few things for myself. So what? It's not like Emily can't afford it. She's just being stingy." "That's not the point," I said, my voice rising slightly. "This isn't about the money, it's about trust. You lied to me, Lauren. You took advantage of my kindness, and now you're trying to make me look like the bad guy. That's not okay." By now, the entire family was staring at Lauren in shock. My mom looked heartbroken, and even my dad, who usually stayed out of family drama, shook his head in disappointment. "I can't believe you, Lauren," my mom said quietly. "Emily has always been there for you, and this is how you repay her?" Lauren stood abruptly, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You're all against me," she hissed. "None of you understand what it's like to struggle. Emily thinks she's so perfect, but she's not." And with that, she stormed out of the house, slamming the door behind her. After Lauren stormed out, the room remained silent for a long moment, My mom's face was pale, and my dad quietly sipped his coffee, clearly uncomfortable. I had expected some tension, but the weight of everything that had just unfolded left a heaviness in the air that even I hadn't anticipated. "I don't understand her," my mom finally said, her voice trembling. "Why would she do this, Emily? She's your sister." I sighed and rubbed my temples. Because she's gotten used to taking advantage of people, she thought she could do the same to me without any consequences. "She's not struggling like she says, is she?" my dad asked, his tone more serious than usual. "No, she's not," I replied. "She's been spending her money on clothes, accessories, and vacations. It's not about survival. It's about her wanting to live beyond her means while making other people foot the bill." My mom shook her head slowly, clearly hurt by everything. "We raised you both better than this," she said quietly. "I don't know where we went wrong." I reached over and placed a hand on hers. "Mom, this isn't your fault. Lauren made her choices, and now she's dealing with the fallout. You've always been there for both of us, but sometimes people take advantage of kindness." The weeks that followed were quieter, though the drama wasn't completely over. Lauren made no effort to apologize or reach out, and I decided I wasn't going to be the one to chase her down. I had said what I needed to say, and the ball was in her court now. However, I wasn't entirely surprised when I heard through Rachel that Lauren was still spreading her version of events to anyone who would listen. "She's telling people you humiliated her at the family dinner," Rachel said during one of our phone calls, "and that you've cut her off completely." I let out a dry laugh. She humiliated herself? And yes, I did cut her off. I'm not going to keep enabling her lies. Rachel hesitated. "I don't blame you. Honestly, Emily, I think it's for the best. Lauren needs to hit rock bottom before she realizes she can't keep using people like this." And that's exactly what happened. Over time, Lauren's web of lies began to unravel. The same people she had tried to manipulate, friends, coworkers, even some family members, started to see through her stories. Slowly but surely, her support system dwindled, leaving her with fewer and fewer people to turn to. One day, I got a surprising message from her. It was a simple text that read, "Can we talk?" I stared at the message for a while, debating whether or not to respond. Part of me wanted to hear what she had to say, but another part of me was still hurt by everything she had done. After some thought, I decided to give her the chance to speak. When we met up, Lauren looked different. She seemed smaller, almost defeated, and her usual confident demeanor was gone. "Emily," she began, her voice quiet, "I just wanted to say I'm sorry." Her words caught me off guard. "For what?" I asked cautiously. "For everything," she said, her eyes meeting mine. "For lying to you, for taking advantage of you, for spreading those stories. I've been horrible to you, and you didn't deserve any of it." I crossed my arms, still unsure if her apology was genuine. "Why now?" I asked. "Why are you apologizing all of a sudden?" Lauren sighed and looked down at her hands. "Because I've lost everyone, Emily. My friends, my coworkers, even some of our family. They don't trust me anymore. I messed up, and I know I need to change." Her admission softened me a little, but I wasn't ready to completely let my guard down. "Lauren, I appreciate the apology, but trust isn't something you can rebuild overnight. It takes time." "I know," she said quickly. "I just want a chance to prove that I can do better." I nodded slowly. "That's up to you, Lauren. Actions speak louder than words." Over the next few months, Lauren began to make an effort to rebuild our relationship. She stopped asking for money and started focusing on finding a stable job. I still kept my boundaries firm, but I allowed her back into my life, little by little. It wasn't an easy process, but I wanted to believe that she could change. Looking back, the entire ordeal taught me a valuable lesson about boundaries and trust. Just because someone is family doesn't mean you have to let them take advantage of you. Sometimes the best way to love someone is by holding them accountable for their actions. And as for Lauren, she's still a work in progress, but she's made strides toward becoming more responsible and honest. Whether or not she continues on this path is up to her. But one thing is certain, I won't let her, or anyone else, take advantage of me again. If you dealt with a similar situation, let me know in the comments. How did you handle it? And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this one. Thanks for listening.